Introducing the all-new BYD Sea Lion 7, the luxury electric SUV that's changing the game. Book your free test drive today at the BYD showroom in Sheffield.
Dr. Steelhammer, Vladimir Klitschko, and Dr. Iron Fist, Vitaly Klitschko, Shannon the Cannon Brigg, and Butterbean, Cruiserweight King Jai Opetaia.
I'll quickly get your opinion on the Paddy Donovan Lewis Crocker thing. In that moment when he was disqualified, Ryan, did you agree with the disqualification in that moment?
No, I thought it was a reaction shot when your opponent.
But they said there was 2 punches after the bell, maybe 3.
How many times have you been? How many times have you?
4 seconds or 5 seconds after the bell.
How many times? How many
times on my phone? It wasn't nowhere near that. It was a maximum of 2 seconds. So bing, bing, and he's thrown it already. Not even 2 seconds. But I thought it wasn't deserved. The disqualification was nowhere deserved, and obviously it's been overturned by the IBF, I believe.
It was.
Yeah.
How often have you been in a fight when it's been noisy and the bell's going to get?
You're just not even concentrating on. If you're that hyped up, that wound up, and you've got your opponent like ready to go, nothing comes into your head. Bells, noise, your corner team. You're just trying to get rid of your opponent.
Going for the kill.
Yeah.
I think also, when you look at that, I think, you know, it looked like the referee had been caught napping a little bit. And
it was your favourite referee as well?
Well, it's not my favourite, but...
We've done a whole interview about Marcus.
We might have done, but the thing is, if you look where he was stood, considering that there'd already been a knockdown like half a minute before.
Yeah.
A referee then thinking, right,
this could be. It's
like if he's the fighter who's not the kid down, he's thinking, I'm going to finish this kid. If it's the corner team thinking, Mike is going to finish that kid. If you're the referee, you're thinking, I better keep an eye on this because he's already been down. He's taken a bit of a beating. So you'd be closer in, you'd be watching very, very carefully. So it was almost like the referee was in a bit of a trance. But maybe he didn't even hear the bell. Maybe that's what it was, because it does happen. You can hear it on the TV because it's mic'd up. But sometimes when you're in an arena, and especially I think it was
Belfast. It was 8, 9, 10,000.
So it's going to be absolutely ringing. It was almost like it almost caught the referee by surprise. So but looking back a few times, you can't really lay the blame at the referee, apart from probably should have been being a bit closer. But there have been loads of occasions when the bell's rung. I've been in fights and the bell's rung and you've not heard it.
I thought something happened even earlier on the same show. Was there a knockdown and there was a punch thrown while the kid was on the same show? I'm almost positive I've read something that it got said there was a fight early on in the show.
And that's exactly the same thing. They didn't get disqualified.
Didn't get disqualified. Exactly the same thing on the same show that night.
But the reason I think, or Billy Nelson's argument is that he's had 2 points took off him already. There's been an elbow that wasn't picked up. There's been headbutts that they've been warned about. Obviously, Paddy's team, Andy Lee, have said, well, they were both coming together with the head. He was walking forward with his head.
If someone's walking towards you with the head down, you've got to protect by naturally bringing your head towards it as well. That's only natural. You're not going to pull away. You pull away, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit naturally. If 2 fighters are going close you've got to meet them. One of them probably going to get caught. I get that. But as a fighter, your instinct is to meet them head on. And the referee is going to probably seem biased in picking on one and not the other.
Where's the breaking point, though? Because like when you say headbutt, you think someone stuck the nut on purpose.
Listen, we've seen headbutts in the past. There was none of that. There was none of that deliberately sticking your head in, stuff like that. It wasn't like that. It was naturally one of the fighters were coming in with the head, not meaning to do it on a dirty side of it. It was just natural coming in. So really, you have to meet the fighter head on with your own head, and potentially one of you is going to get cut along the way.
Do you agree with the decision, IBF, right decision? Or not?
Because I think the IBF amongst them all they're very strict with the rules.
They're probably the most strictest.
The
IBF as well.
Yeah, they are the strictest. I mean, they are an American organisation where the others are based in South America and they can kind of set their own rules. But realistically, looking at that fight, it'll have been reviewed. in my opinion, the other kid, Donovan's opponent, was getting beat, and he kind of won on a technicality of a disqualification. So, can you put that kid through on merit? Really, not really, because he didn't really win the fight. He won it by kind of default setting. So, the proper thing would be to do was that kid who got beat said, you know what, I'm not going to fight in that eliminator. And then Donovan had gone through, but at least he's getting another payday.
The thing is, the payday will be big as well.
And he's getting another chance. And he probably will go.
He might have underperformed as well. He might have thought, I can perform better than that.
Yeah, he might have done. So he's going to get another chance, and then you're going to see, it's got to be, the person who proceeds through that has got to be the one at the end of the fight when they're both stood on the feet and there's the decision by the scorecards. It can't be, a technical decision or a disqualification. It's got to be a proper fight to determine who it is. So it's all fair.
Next subject, IBF. Sticking with the IBF, they're going to rule allegedly in the next week or two that Derek Chisora is the mandatory to fight Daniel Dubois. What age did you retire?
Derek Chisora?
IBF have made him mandatory. I retired at 36.
So I think he's 41.
The heavyweights can go on, I get that. The heavyweights go on longer than generally your lower weight divisions. But Derek's had a tough career, a hell of a tough career. And I know there's a little bit of a Cinderella story, his last couple of fights, but fighting Daniel Dubois is a different...
Don't you think more Beauty and the Beast than Cinderella Man?
Well, yeah, Derek,
because he's not a Cinderella.
True. Yeah, true.
You're saying
I was a Cinderella Man.
No, you was a Spice Boy.
Yeah, but I mean the second part of my career.
That's right, yeah.
But I find it a bad fight for Derek. I really do. I hope they come up with some unification, because they're saying the unification overrides the mandatory. I hope they can come up with some. Listen, Derek deserves another big fight, but Daniel Dubois is a different level, and I wouldn't want to see that fight for Derek's behalf. Yeah.
Don't give him any chance, Dom.
You
actually picked him to beat JOYCE, didn't you?
Yeah.
And Marlin, I think you picked him.
But like I say, when you as a fighter, all you look at is beating the next kid. You don't care it is. We've had this discussion before. Fighters aren't scared of having a fight. They're not even scared of losing. They're probably more scared of not getting paid. But because as long as they can keep fighting. But looking at that situation, and now you look at the old dynamics of that scenario with Dubois and JOYCE, and how JOYCE beat Dubois, and everybody were calling him a quitter and a loser and everything else. And he just regrouped and he came back, and he's come back stronger than anybody. And it's the same thing again. He's now found his feet, Daniel Dubois. He's strong, he's tough, he's confident, he's mature in age. What is he, 24, 25 maybe? And Derek Chisora is getting past his sell-by day. He's slowed down a lot. He's always going to have that fight and that brawl in him. But there's just too much of an age gap. And I think, both at the peak, I think Derek Chisora beats him.
But they're not give him a good fight.
But they're not in that. But he's not in his peak anymore. It's the same boxing timing is everything, and it's a case of Dubois on the ascent and coming up to the top of the hill, is on the top of the hill, and Chisora's sliding down the other side. And this is the thing: imagine this is the hill. And that's the downside, and that's the upside. And Dubois coming up, and Chisora's on that side. So they're meeting at they could be meeting the same way, but he's on the slide and he's on the up. So the scales are tipping, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you've got to give it to Dubois. And I would say, I just think, and this is not taking anything away from Derek, I just think the time's right where Dubois could very, very easily stop him.
Derek's had an unbelievable career. He's boxed everybody. There's no one he's ducked, and there's no one he would duck anyway. He's got that mentality. He's got that boxer's, fighter's mentality.
Yeah.
But I think at this stage, Daniel is a bad fight for Derek. A bad fight.
Last topic, Tyson Fury. Bob Arum did an interview yesterday, and his words are, Tyson Fury owes it to himself and his family to remain happily retired. I don't think he should step in the ring again because I think he's had enough.
Tyson's done it all. Tyson is
Tyson coming back?
No one knows.
The only way he's going to come back if it's for AJ. The big money for AJ. But I think that's the only fight I see him coming back.
He doesn't need the money.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he even spends it.
But the problem is with that is he will always be asked, why didn't you fight AJ? Now, he might turn around and say, no, he won't fight me. But he's going to ask that question, why did you never fight AJ? And for a fighter to be linked to another fighter for this many years, like it has been with these two, like Kell and Khan,
Witter and Hatton,
Mayweather and Pacquiao. There's always been them fights that you really want to put to bed, and listening and knowing Tyson how he is, I will say I think he wants to put that fight to bed.
Do you know more than anything though? I think if you look at the fight with Tyson, regardless, there's no British heavyweight who's beat him.
No.
There's only Usyk who's the top fighter now. So Tyson's been there. He's been the world champion. He's beat everybody. No.
John McDermott.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He didn't get the decision though.
So Tyson's beat everybody, and I think what would motivate him to come out of retirement is not the money, because he doesn't need it, is whether he can be bothered to do it. And secondly, when people mention Joshua's name and whether they say to him, I think he can beat you, Tyson, and it's a challenge, that's what's going to motivate Tyson. And for Tyson to finish his career and at least say, well, I've been the world champion and no fighter in Britain of all the good heavyweights, because we've had a few, Joshua, CHISORA, all the kids that Tyson's boxed, Dillian White, he finished the top. He beat everybody. And I think that's going to be the motivating factor for Tyson, if he can be bothered or motivated to do it. And, he's retired. If he was an active fighter, it's, do you want to fight him? You're still boxing. We can make that a negotiation. If he's retired, it's like, first of all, they've got to coax him out of retirement. I'm retired, I'm not bothered. We'll make it a fight, you can't refuse. They've got to get him to the base of being a fighter first, and then to put him in the fight. So as long as he stays retired, it's not a one-step process to make a fight, is it?
No,
it's a two-step process. It's getting out of retirement and then making the fight. And that's money in itself, and that's a negotiation in itself. And if people really want that fight, Tyson's going to make him, I'm not going to say beg for it, but he's going to want to see what the demand is for it. He's going to like, who's going to put the name to that? Who's going to give me the money? Who's going to put the challenge? Where's it going to be? Make it something I can get motivated for. Because how difficult must it be? Tyson's a down-to-earth fella. Like I said, I went to see him before the last fight, went over, had a chat to him. It's just like talking to your mate.
Yeah.
Down-to-earth. So he's not like one of these who's up himself and like lives in a different planet. He's a down, as his dad says, a straight-talking man. He is. Regardless of what you see on screen, when you meet him in person, you talk to him, he's sound. Do you understand? It's most of the people around him who were like a bit, off it. But him, he's never been any different from the days I used to talk to him when he was boxing with Mick Hennessy. No different when he had hair. No different. For all the money he's had and all the fights and accolades, he's no different. So it's just what motivates him, what switches him on. And maybe it is that you're like, well, you'd never beat Anthony Joshua. Yeah, well, no, you won't. He's better than you. And I think with Tyson, knowing he's a good fighter, and always having this thing with Anthony Joshua who's like kind of thinks he's being pushed through and lifted and elevated in a different way. I think it would be a thing for Tyson to get his teeth into and think, what, I fancy that. I'm going to put everybody. I think he'd rather prove the likes of Eddie Hearn wrong than everybody else. Yeah. That gives more satisfaction than the money.
Like you just said about he doesn't need the money. He's not needed the money for the last 5 or 6 fights. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's never been about. When you get to the elite, and I mean the elite level fighters, it's never about the money. It's about being the best. How could Floyd Mayweather get up for them fights when he was already a multi-millionaire? Do you know when you're worth 100 million, but he's still getting up and getting out of bed?
He's worth 100 million. He's a billionaire, isn't he? Oh no, is it 1,000? It's 1,000 million. 1,000 million.
So it's never at that level. Never about the money, because they've got enough money to last them a lifetime.
More than a lifetime.
The kids sorted forever. Their kids sorted forever. It's about leaving that legacy. You boxed everybody in your era that you could have boxed, and especially with AJ and Tyson, it could be and possibly will be the biggest British fight all time ever.
Let's see what happens. Ryan, we had the sad loss of Colin Hart. I got to spend a lot of time around him, and really nice man, amazing boxing knowledge. But what I liked about him the most was he didn't give a shit. He just expressed
said it how it were. Yeah. I mean, back in the 90s, there was all the journalists there, and the one person that stood out was Colin. He was the one that he was like the cream of the crop. He was the biggest name at that time all the way through. And like many a times, I'd get a message from Colin and asking if I'd fancy going to the Boxers Writing award, Boxers Writers Awards, and a few times I went down. He was just a genuinely nice guy, and exactly what you said, just said it how it was. But he's seen it all, like Muhammad Ali, all the way through to fighters nowadays. He's absolutely seen everything.
Any memories? Did you have any fallouts with your dad by any chance?
No, he's a big friend of
fallout when I was
at that time.
Yeah,
he was a big friend of my dad's, and Colin was in charge of the Boxing Writers Awards.
Yeah.
Ryan got the Boxing Writers Young Fighter of the Year. Kell got it. Kid Galahad got it.
Yeah.
So
Naz got it.
Naz got it. Johnny was too old by the time, I think. But they all got the award, and my dad had a very good relationship with Colin Hart. A big name, and I had plenty of respect for him. And I always remember when we went to America and Kell boxed Wayne McCulloch.
And Colin Naz boxed.
Yeah, sorry, Naz.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Kell.
All right, yeah, Naz boxed. Naz boxed him, and we just landed, and Naz was a bit hyped up, and Colin was asking awkward questions, and I just remember Naz's brothers. My mother would call them heathens, like got no sense, calling him wigging, being disrespectful.
Yeah.
He hadn't got a wig on; he had a good mop of hair, but just being, because they didn't like the questions he was asking.
Just a quick one. You've mentioned hair a hell of a lot in this interview. Is it because I'm with you, or are you thinking of having it done?
Well, the thing is this: I could have mine done because I could grow a beard like yours, and I can grow an hairy chest. So they can take it off your chest and your chin and put it on your head. You've only got it on your chin, so there's not enough for you.
I've got some on my back.
Yeah, that don't count though. So if I'm thinking of having it done, I can do all that, right? But there's three bulbies together, isn't there? Remember that caricature we had done, me, you and Keaton in Las Vegas? And I've still got that somewhere. Yeah, I've got it, yeah. So we went to Vegas when Johnny boxed, and we sat this fella, because I'll do a picture of you three, so there were me, him, and John Keaton, like three boulder fellas. It looked like a woman with three breasts in it. Big time being done. But yeah, so I've still got that, and that was 2000, so that's 20 odd years old.
It is. Sorry, go on.
But Colin Hart, yeah, like I say, he went through a period of time when he saw it from, the Rumble in the Jungle all the way through all the big fights. He covered everything, to the great, to the big fights, all to Naz. And the last time I think I spoke to him also is when Kell boxed Khan. And I was talking to him, and he went, "No," he goes, "It's he's very good at." Even though I talked to a lot of other respected writers, and I spoke to him, he goes, "It's a bit late this fight." He says, "But it's going to be the same result whether it were now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Kells will stop him."
No,
and he turned around and said, he goes, and he did say it, and he said it in an interview where he said, neither of them will want to go more than about 6 rounds. And did he get stopped in 6?
Yeah, about halfway. Yeah.
So he says, and so he went, so it's going to be stoppage in 6 rounds, and Kell's going to win. And that's what it was, and that's because just knowledge of watching the likes of who Khan was boxing, who Kell was boxing, the ups and downs of it, what they did, and he could wait. He had this calculating brain where he could weigh it all up and say that's what it's going to be. Whereas others probably got a bit caught up in the emotion. Whereas Colin was more or less black and white and just as it is, and he wasn't ever far off getting the results right. So it's sad. I mean, he lived to a good old age, but like I said, when you got a call, Ryan, I can remember coming in, Ryan, we didn't have mobile phones in them days, did we? Colin Hart's going to phone you at a certain time for an interview. Colin Hart's going to phone me, like, from thinking that was it, because he had like 3 or 4 reporters at the time, Colin Hart, a few others, the big tabloids, the big sports journalists. If you were talking to them, like, you'd made it, like, into the papers, into the nationals. Yeah. It was a thing, but now every Tom, Dick and Harry is doing it. And it's kind of watered down the importance of the proper journalists. Some have transitioned over, like Steve Bunce and Gareth Aid and Gad, the Gad man, have transitioned over. But they've had that quality of writing, and whereas any old kid can do it now, and it's not always good journalism. So, but with him, it was always worth a read. If you didn't read the tabloids, it was always worth reading his columns for the boxing and the proper lowdown on the fights they're going to be.
Yeah, indeed. The best part, I only got to know him over the last 3 years, and his highest viewed interview he's left is on Boxing King.
Oh, that's good. It's a good
tribute. It's a good little memory.
Brilliant.
200,000 views he did on after the Fury Usyk first fight, and he went in. So it's worth watching if you want to watch Colin Hart and what he's like. And then the 2 quick questions for you, because it's quite a hot topic at the minute. Do either of you believe that the moon landing happened in 1969?
That was, sorry?
The moon landing. This is random as hell, but do you believe it happened?
Did you know there was a moon landing?
I didn't.
Allegedly, there was a moon landing.
Who told you that?
Do you ever used to watch, when you were a kid, do you ever used to
What moon?
Neil Armstrong.
Clangers? Remember Clangers?
No, that was a bit before me.
So, but I watched Button Moon and the Clangers. So did they land on the Earth? Let's just ask this let's just answer this question. Who cares? What does it matter?
Because there's so many videos that are coming up now, and it's almost like, how did people believe it? Because they were doing a live stream to the moon.
How many years ago is supposed to happen?
1969.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
Buzz Lightyear, Buzz Aldrich. So but even if it did or it didn't, even if it didn't, who cares? What did we? There's no gold on the moon. There's no life on the moon. At the time, it was just a political thing. Who'll get there between Russia and America first? So who cares? What did it really? Does
it make you not question how many other things they may have lied about?
Well, probably.
That's quite a big lie.
Probably loads of stuff, but realistically, it's like when I listen to these conspiracy theorists. Do you understand? And they start telling me what, about, plastic and Coca-Cola and all these things, and then the next minute they're puffing on the joint or the vaping, and they're like, and what I've realised is this, and it's even more so about the COVID jabs, and maybe that is a bad thing, I don't know. But what I've realised is people don't mind poisoning themselves, whether it's alcohol, drugs, recreational drugs, whatever. They don't mind poisoning themselves, but they certainly don't want somebody else forcing poison on them. It's not their choice. It's all about choice. So, that COVID jab, all these conspiracy theories, going at moon, the spray ain't sky, without the seed ain't skies, it's going to rain. Well, all right then. So these people who are seed ain't skies then, are they like immune from what's coming down from it? Then have got the special mic what they wear when they go out or the seeding today. We know what's going on with these special mics. It's like, who cares about who lands up? There will be something somewhere where it really matters. I don't know, but I was born in '67. It's not impacted my life, I don't think. It's not impacted your life. It's not, because we're working at this level, aren't we? We're working at ground level. What's it matter? I don't know. So that's my theory. I wouldn't even waste any thought process on that.
I thought it was an interesting one to throw out there. So this is the last question. I think only Dom could answer this. I'm going to put him on the spot. So saying about...
I haven't been to the moon, no.
No. In about 20 years' time, we could potentially see two young fighters in this gym. They might be about 20 years old. One will probably be called Shakur, the other one might be called Ezra. So one's got the genetics of Kell, Brook and Ebony Bridges. The other one's got the genetics of Ryan Rhodes and Kid Galahad. Which one of them two do you think is going to, become a superstar in boxing?
Probably both.
Because you got the power of Kell, Brook, timing, Ebony Bridges.
Probably both,
great.
but what I'll say to you is probably both. But I'll put my money on Shakur because, right...
Kell's going to hate you for this, by the way.
Don't matter. Because his dad, Kid G, ain't going to spend no money on him. He ain't going to spoil him. He's going to bring him up like he's got no money because he's tight. So he's going to be dragged up. He's going to be thrown in at the deep end. He's going to be took to the ends, which is Netherthorpe and all that way, shown the rough way of life. And somehow Barry will convince him they've got no money. And, he won't let him go over to Granddad's house to spoil him, because they'll spoil him over that side, like Ryan gets spoiled. They'll keep him away from that, and he'll grow up thinking he's poor and he needs to succeed in life. That's why he's going to. Whereas Kell's kid will be already in designer gear now. Do you understand? So it'll be interesting. It will be interesting, and I hope I'm around to see it. You know what I mean? Like in 20 years' time, what will I be? 60, 77? Yeah, I should be around. I should be around. So it'll be interesting, won't it?
But just for context, in case nobody knows, Ryan Rhodes, your daughter's married to Barry. As we were just saying, we just had to do another battery change.
Do battery changes this chat.
Yeah, so
right.
yeah,
We'll do an off camera in a minute. Go on.
Yeah,
but you agree with Dom's observations there?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Be interested to see what Kell has to say about it. Now the competition's on.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. And be sparring together. I'm guessing they're going to be part of the Ingle gym.
I'm going to try and go to Bookies and have a bet now.
Yeah.
Don't tell Barry though, because you can't bet on his kids.
Does Barry want him to fight?
Yeah.
You must have had this conversation.
I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I suppose, as parents and being involved in boxing all these years, and you know how hard it is and how hard it's getting, you probably not want them to get involved in boxing.
No.
But it's entirely up. You support your kids no matter what, or your grandkids.
Wicked. Ryan Rhodes, Grandad Ryan, and Dominic Ingle.
Not a granddad just
not
yet.
A granddad. Not that you know of anyway. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you both. We've had to do a few chops and changes and a few mutes on this podcast.
We got there in the end.
But just to make it all politically correct,
Yeah,